My ex-husband and I were like oil and water, always clashing and never truly understanding each other. Despite his wealth, I often felt uncomfortable using any of it, so I wanted to work. But I felt belittled and inadequate whenever I expressed my desire to work and pursue my passions. He would dismiss my ambitions, making me doubt my abilities. But deep down, I knew I had skills and dreams waiting to be realized. No one talks about this problem. Some people want the wife to just stay back home and take care of the house and kids, but when she spends any money, she's being told of the value of it, etc. Like, either let me work so that I can pay for my own indulgences, or don't make me feel degraded when I use yours. I've always loved pampering myself a little. Shopping sprees and spa days were important to me. But that doesn't mean I wasn't conscious about my spending. In the midst of it all, I quietly saved money, squirreling away every penny I could manage. My husband would scoff and laugh, seeing no value in my efforts. But I knew the importance of financial independence, and I was determined to build a secure future for my son. As the years passed, my son grew, and I watched him with pride and joy. He was my motivation, my reason for working tirelessly and saving diligently. While my ex-husband insisted on shouldering all expenses, it was not out of chivalry or generosity, but rather as a means of asserting control over me. But then a turning point arrived. Amidst our mounting conflicts and irreconcilable differences, my ex-husband and I eventually reached a breaking point. The decision to get a divorce became inevitable, and while it was a difficult choice, I knew it was necessary for my own happiness and well-being. Throughout the difficult process of our divorce, my son had been a source of support and strength. He stood by my side, understanding the toxic nature of our relationship and the toll it took on my well-being. However, as the reality of our changed circumstances settled in, his true colors began to emerge. It became apparent that my son had been counting on my hard-earned savings to fund his lifestyle. When he realized that he would no longer have access to the wealth he had come to rely on, his demeanor shifted. The once supportive and understanding son turned resentful and distant. It was a painful realization that our bond was not as unconditional as I had hoped. Amidst the turmoil, I found solace in the arms of a wonderful man who entered my life. He brought love, stability, and unwavering support. He understood my dreams and aspirations, encouraging me to pursue my own happiness. And it was with this newfound love and security that I made a decision that may have seemed unconventional to some. My new husband expressed a strong desire to pursue a new degree that would enhance his career prospects. It was an opportunity for him to grow and fulfill his potential. Despite the financial strain it would impose, I made the conscious choice to give away my son's college tuition money to support my husband's educational aspirations. Some may question the reasoning behind my decision, but it was rooted in a deep understanding of the circumstances. My son had shown his true colors, prioritizing material comfort over love and family. On the other hand, my husband had proven his commitment, his loyalty, and his unwavering belief in our shared future. The money I had set aside for my son's college education now found a new purpose, one that would not only benefit my husband, but also strengthen our bond as a couple. It was an investment in our collective dreams and ambitions. I believe that education held immense value, not just for the young, but for individuals of all ages who sought growth and fulfillment. Things escalated quickly as my son and I got into a big argument. He accused me of seeking revenge on him for choosing to live with his dad by giving away his college money. I tried explaining that it wasn't about revenge, but he didn't believe me. He thought I was just trying to hurt him. I calmly told him that his dad had enough money to pay for his education, so I decided to use the money for my new husband's degree instead. I wanted my son to understand that it was a practical decision, not a practical attack. But he stayed angry and refused to see my side of things. Feeling frustrated and hurt, I said something I regretted. Not because it wasn't the right thing, I just knew that my son would be mad on hearing this, and yet I told him that he didn't really care about his education and just wanted the money for his fancy lifestyle. It was a harsh thing to say, and I knew it hurt him deeply, but it was true. He wasn't interested in his education as much as he thought it vital to maintain the perfect social media approved lifestyle. That's when he threatened to cut off contact with me completely. I felt a mix of guilt, sadness, and frustration. How did things get so bad between us? I wondered if it was all my fault and if there was something I could have done to prevent this. As I sat with my emotions, I realized that both of us played a role in the strained relationship. It wasn't entirely my responsibility to fix everything. Relationships are complicated and it takes the effort from both sides. I couldn't help but question our future and what would happen to our relationship. The thought of losing my son was heart-wrenching, but I knew that sometimes distance can provide space for healing. Maybe taking a break from each other would give us time to reflect and grow, but only if things were really that simple. He has now involved his dad, and I have received a text from my ex-husband about wanting to talk. That will happen the next week, probably. I'll update you guys on the situation. This is all so problematic. Do you think I'm to blame for this? Update 1. Hello, it's been a whole week, and like I promised, I'm back with an update. Yesterday, I had an unexpected encounter with my ex-husband. We were supposed to meet on a different day, so he caught me off guard. Since my son had allowed him to get involved in this matter, he took the opportunity to voice his opinion. To my surprise, he claimed that the money I had saved belonged to him because he was the one who earned it. He argued that our son should be the rightful recipient of the money, not my new husband. At this, his tone was gentle as he tried to convince me to reconsider my decision. However, as I stood my ground and remained firm in my stance, his demeanor shifted. He grew stern and started insisting that I must give the money to our son. But I couldn't agree with him. It wasn't about jealousy or favoritism towards my new husband. It was intended to be used for my son's future. But circumstances had changed, and I believed it was not made lightly. I emphasized that it wasn't a matter of taking sides or depriving our son. My ex-husband, however, wasn't willing to accept my explanation. He insisted that I was being unfair and selfish. He accused me of putting my interests above our son's, disregarding the fact that I had always put our son's well-being at the forefront of my decisions. In response to my ex-husband's demands, I couldn't help but break up. I reminded him of how he used to spend his money on extravagant things, often pressuring me to join him and criticizing me for not being cool or classy enough. Instead of appreciating my efforts to save, he would shame me for not conforming to his lavish lifestyle. I pointed out that the money I had saved was a result of his desire for me to spend it on frivolous and irrelevant things. It was money that he wanted me to exhaust on material possessions that held no real value or meaning. So now there was no point in dwelling on his past comments and expectations. With those words, I chose to walk away. Co-parent with my ex-husband would still require navigation and compromise. Update 2. After my encounter with my ex-husband, I received a message from my son seeking to confirm whether I had reconsidered my decision. In response, I firmly stated that my decision remained unchanged. I had made up my mind and stood by it. In a heated exchange, my son said that I should get ready to sever all ties with him, declaring his intention to go no contact. I was taken aback by his hurtful words, but I refused to be swayed by his attempts to manipulate or guilt-trip me. With a newfound sense of strength, I responded he was free to make his own choices and take whatever actions he deemed necessary. However, I made it clear that such tactics would not sway me or change my stance. It was a moment of empowerment as I refused to be held hostage by emotional blackmail. In asserting my boundaries, I convey to my son that I deserved respect and autonomy in my decisions. I hope that in time he would come to understand and appreciate my perspective, realizing that my choices were not against him at all. Update 3. As I reflect upon the current state of my relationship with my son, I can't help but feel a pang of sadness and uncertainty. It's natural to school guess oneself when faced with a strained family dynamic. I've replayed the conversation and decisions in my mind countless times, searching for any mishaps or signs of wrongdoing. However, deep down, I know that I have acted with integrity and made choices that were rooted in love and concern for both of our well being. While it is easy to shoulder the burden of guilt, it is important to remember that relationships are a two-way street. Each person plays a role in the dynamics and outcomes. I can acknowledge my part in this situation, but I cannot solely bear the weight of responsibility for the current state of affairs. So, on that note, I'm signing off. Bye, guys. NTA, your son is emotionally abusing you to get what he wants. You did the correct thing by not giving in to his demands. As for his education, his dad is anyway going to pay for it. NTA, it is sad to me how your son is so similar to your ex-husband. Extravagant lifestyle, maintaining an image, etc. Congratulations on your wedding, and I hope things work out with time. Things will probably get better in the future with your son, but for now, try not to stress too much about it. Next story. I, 25 female, and my husband, 26 male, are pregnant with our first child. Recently, I've started really feeling the effects of pregnancy on my body. Sometimes I get bad cramping and nausea to the point where if I move, I'll likely throw up. For some background information, we both work full-time and typically try to split the household tasks equally, although occasionally when one of us has to work late a couple of hours or something, the other will pick up the slack. We also have planned for getting pregnant for a long time, so it's not like this isn't what he wanted. We were getting ready to leave today, and he asked if I brought the clean laundry up from the dryer in our basement. I said no. I didn't think I could get the laundry up the 2 flights of stairs, so I was planning to just grab what I needed and leave the rest for later. He made a comment that he was really frustrated I couldn't just grab all the laundry so he didn't have to go all the way downstairs as well. I got upset and basically told him he didn't have the right to be frustrated with me for having pregnancy symptoms and not being at 100% anymore. Also, we share tasks, so it's not my job to get the laundry in the first place, and there's no reason he couldn't have just done it himself anyways. Am I the a-hole for telling him he can't get frustrated at me for this? I don't want to make him feel like he can't talk to me about how he's feeling, and I'm starting to worry. I just lashed out because I wasn't feeling well. At the same time, it's frustrating to me that he's fine picking up the slack if I have to work late, but hates it if it has to do with pregnancy symptoms. NTA, it might be time to have a conversation about dividing the workload differently since you're pregnant. Or maybe you guys could divvy up chores in a way that lets you work on things that are easier for you to do. Like, he can haul the laundry up all the stairs since that's now harder for you to do, and you can cover chores that require limited movement. Low-key ESH, because neither one of you is being fair or realistic with the other. For you, since you're the one asking, everyone is entitled to their own feelings, and it's not fair to say he can't feel a certain way. I think what you really mean is you don't want him to vent about his feelings to you when unpleasant pregnancy symptoms cause him minor frustrations. You don't get to police his feelings, but you can set boundaries about what you're willing to do in regards to his feelings. You don't want to listen to complaints about how pregnancy symptoms inconvenience him. Totally reasonable and normal, especially when you're the one feeling crummy. And you can tell him that. Minor frustration is normal on his part, but venting and griping about being inconvenienced to the partner who is bearing the physical toll of pregnancy for the both of you is poor form on his part. That's where he's the a-hole in this incident. He can handle his feelings on his own. Wait until you're feeling better to initiate a discussion about division of labor. Readjust his expectations of what equitable division of labor looks like with a pregnant spouse, etc. The ways he manages his emotions and respects your boundaries are his responsibility and his decision. But setting your boundaries respectfully is yours. This is a really good time to work on respectful and healthy communication skills as a couple. The years when kids are under 4 to 5 years old are typically the most stressful for couples, and your communication skills will be tested. Good luck and congratulations on your pregnancy. Next story. I'm 26, female. My sister, 29, female, has a son, Eric. He's 8 years old. I don't visit a lot. We live away, but I see them, and most of my family, at birthdays and holidays. When I visit, I usually buy Eric a toy or some candy, as he's my only nephew. To be honest, I like to spoil him, and maybe I am a little bit to blame for what happened too. It was Eric's birthday this week. I visited them and I brought him a nice car toy. The car was quite big and had lights and stuff. When I got to the party, I wished him a happy birthday and handed him the gift. He opened and he loved it. He said, "So far, this is the best one," which at the time I thought he was just excited, but with what happened later, I kind of get the idea it was more maliciously intended. Like an hour or so after the party started, when everyone had already arrived, Eric made an announcement to the table in which the adults were sitting. He said that I have won and that I was now the person who he loved the most because my gift was the one he liked the most. I thought it was sweet that he liked it. Then he told my mom that her gift sucked. She brought him a board game, so he didn't love her anymore. He also told one of his friends that next year he won't be invited because his gift was poor. He gifted him a set of dinosaur figures. I think this whole thing of ranking the gifts people got them was pretty shitty. I expected my sister or her husband to say something, but they didn't. They just laughed. So I told Eric that he's not supposed to say that about his gifts. People get them what they can, and he should be grateful with it. He said that he doesn't understand why he has to love people who don't buy him nice gifts. I genuinely can't believe my sister is teaching this bullshit to her son. His dad told him, yeah, they should give you all the best. So I then again told him that a person's worth is not about how expensive or big the gift they got him was, and that if he thought that way, then I will not be continuing buying him gifts. Eric started to cry. My sister told me off because I made him cry, but most of my family and some of her in-laws were on my side and told them it was bad to teach their kids such a thing. Our mom was quite affected and I wanted to leave too, so we left after that. My sister texted me later to call me an a-hole for leaving before the candles were blown and for telling her child he won't get any more gifts from me. She said I shouldn't make empty threats to a child. I said that it's not empty and it's not a threat. It's a promise until they teach their kids some manners. Am I wrong for discussing this when my nephew was present? Am I being unreasonable to him since he's young? And would I be wrong in the future if I keep my promise and do not buy him a gift the next time we see each other? NTA. What he did was incredibly rude and hurtful, especially when he said one of his friends wouldn't be invited again. I don't care if he is 8. The other kid was probably around the same age. I'm glad you're not enabling him. It's great if you buy people gifts. I'm a gift giver. But it's one way of showing love, and it's not a reason to be rude if the giver put effort into it. NTA, in this case, you didn't overstep. His parents clearly aren't teaching him any morals or manners. In fact, quite the opposite. They're raising him to be a monster. Keep your promise. If your nephew approaches you about it, talk with him calmly and explain why. It is possible you can be an influence for good in his life. If he changes his attitude, then resume buying him gifts. NTA, your nephew will remember your advice and hopefully be grateful in the future. I would have stayed for the cake, though. He's still just a kid. It's a shame his parents didn't stop his gift ranking. So good that you did. Next year, give him a card and $20. Stay tuned for more stories from our girl relationships.